everyone. I'm very happy to bring to you the 5th episode, I believe, of the Stuck In podcast. Never thought I'd make it here, honestly. And today I have a guest that is somebody that has been really important to me in my journey, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. Somebody that I think really pushes the individuals that he works with and has tried to change the narrative of footballers mentally, physically, and in different aspects on and off the pitch since he's come into the picture, really. And that man is Rory Winters, someone I would consider a mentor and a friend.
Thank you, Jared. Lovely to be here, and well done for doing this one.
Yeah, very happy to have you. And I mean, honestly, this whole project was, I wouldn't say a direct result of my relationship with you, but it's definitely inspired by some of the stuff that we've done together, because you've always been somebody that's been an advocate for being more than just a footballer. It's very important to have a life off the pitch and to do things that maybe don't always revolve around the 100 miles an hour lifestyle that is football.
Yeah.
And for that, I'm really grateful.
No, mate, it's as you said, definitely there's more to a footballer than a footballer, right? And that's my main mantra. I think that's what, going back to me when I was your age and maybe a bit younger, was what held me back a little bit. Is I was more than a footballer, but I wasn't allowed to be.
Okay,
and
yeah.
with that, I think I suffered a lot mentally more than anything. I was whole in footballer, racehorse with his blinkers on, and that isn't the way it can or should be or could be.
But wouldn't you say that most footballers, they would say that, oh, ever since young, the only thing I've ever wanted was to be a professional footballer, and A, B, C, D, everything I did every day was just to do with football, and most of the time those are the ones that end up being the top players. So where's the balance then, do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. There is some, but how many are the top footballers is my question. The top is the top, right? It's that minuscule amount. Yeah. A fact that comes out of England, which is what I based Edge of the Box around, and the mentoring aspect definitely, is there's a 98% attrition rate in professional footballers. Yeah. So we're talking about the boys at your age, 20, 21, who sign professional deals. In England, 98% of those, by the time they're 24, will be out of the game, out of the professional game. So maybe playing semi-pro as I did. That's huge, right? That's a huge amount, and it's frightening. So if all you've ever done is football, if all your eggs are in that basket, if all your dreams, hopes, ambitions, and for me it was my identity was attached to it, I was up shit creek when I got released. I was released and I was nobody. My story, I went and ended up working at McDonald's because my parents wouldn't let me stay at home if I didn't have a job, and McDonald's was the easiest job to get.
Just something.
It was a job, and I went from literally, I think I've told you before, probably bored of it, but I went from playing against Manchester United, marking Danny Welbeck on a Tuesday night, to the following Wednesday frying chicken nuggets. Genuine, that's not exaggeration.
That's mental to just think about, like, that you were at that level, but at the same time within a week, the span of
within a week. And everything had been. However, I'm like you. I loved writing. I love reading. There was more to me, but I wasn't allowed to
showcase that.
I wasn't allowed to.
Let's just showcase it, just to be yourself.
Just to be me. I know that I was into my indie music when I was like 16, 17, so I used to go and watch bands. My mates were in bands. I had long hair, big slick back, straightened it now and again. And that was the style back in 2006.
Era appropriate.
Yeah, exactly. Like your mullet now, it's horrendous, but you do what you do. But that's what I liked, and I remember, and it was my dad actually bollocked me for it, and I still didn't understand it, and I do now, but I didn't. No, not the hair. Well, the hair was one of it. But we had the match day programme, and every so often every week they did a player profile of the youth team players. So it was my turn, and it was, like favourite food, all the boring questions, but one of them was favourite band or favourite music. And I there was a band at the time called the Pigeon Detectives in England. It's a shocking name, right? Straight away. But Arctic Monkeys are big, and that's a bad name. Yeah. But anyway, it was the Pigeon Detectives, and I must have liked the song that was out at that moment in time. And everyone else had put, 50 Cent, Usher.
Just that type of
Eminem.
manly sort of gung-ho type of music.
Which would be, Stormzy or maybe more hardcore than that.
Yeah.
Something like that. And I was a bit different. And I remember my dad reading it. He goes, "Why did you put that?" And I was like, "Because they're my favourite band right now." It's the issue. But it didn't fit in with the narrative of a footballer. So people took the piss out of me. There was also
is that the other lads in the change room, your team? Like, what?
I don't think the teammates necessarily do, but it might be the coach would look at you a bit differently. I know the coach said I looked like I had a bird's nest hair. And I was like, so what? Like, I don't want to shave my head off. It's not. I don't want to do that. It's not me. Now, am I saying that if I'd have shaved my head, I'd have been a better footballer? Yeah. Probably not. Yeah. Definitely not, I'd say. But would I have fit in the remit of what they were looking for in a footballer? Where, in terms of like creating your own look with the look, maybe I'm a mean, horrible centre back with a big old nose. Yeah. If I've got a shaved head, whereas with my long hair, maybe I'm.
They think you're soft.
Pretty boy. Yeah, exactly. I'm not a pretty boy, but that way.
I mean, to relate that whole thing to a Singaporean context, I guess, which was obviously part of the discussion and what you do here. I think that myself and the other lads that I'm close with, we always talk about you can never judge a player until they finish national service.
Yeah.
Because in the same sense with that attrition rate that you're talking about, that 98%, Singapore is maybe not as high, but you have the same thing. You have players that as they finish national service or as they enlist, they sort of dwindle down. Definitely. Maybe they don't play as much. Their focus shift.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not good enough as well. Obviously there's a variety of factors that can determine whether you become a professional. But what is it about those that do make it versus those that don't? Those that, okay, maybe I'm at the same position as another person, but they will fall out, but I won't. And I think that's the difference, because to me, I see so many talented players around, probably the same in the UK, Singapore, but those are the ones that don't necessarily make it. But it's not because of their talent, it's always because of their work ethic. And that's something I find super frustrating to see, because I see so many talented lads around me, but they never ever, in my opinion, they will never ever reach the heights that they should because of that exact reason. Yeah,
it's true, and that's competition, right? And that's the world that we're in. Football is, speaking with someone just before, it's a ruthless industry, almost one unto its own, where there is not many businesses that can be as ruthless as football and get away with it without tribunals, employment tribunals and stuff.
I mean, perfect example, literally just yesterday, the Lion City Sailors coach Kim Do-hun it was announced that him and the club have parted ways. Like, that's a perfect example. Where in what position do you have a day and you're gone, just like that?
Gone with a few hours' notice and you're out of the picture. So that does happen in football, and everyone in the industry is aware of it. Is it right? No. And that's why I want to try and change things slowly, culturally. Obviously, coming to Singapore, like you talk about national service, I didn't do it myself. I didn't have to do it, and I'm thankful for that. I'm reading a book at the moment, and I can kind of touch on that. I think with the national service is almost like an initiation, turning from a boy to a man.
I would say that's an accurate way to describe it.
That's the comparison I've drawn without doing it, so I'm not qualified.
I would say that's quite an accurate description, because I think it's a very important maturing phase for a lot of young Singaporeans. I mean, for myself, maybe it's a bit different, because I was privileged enough and fortunate enough to grow up overseas and mature in a different sense because I had all these other experiences. But I would say that, it's definitely a big learning curve. And you do transition from boy to man maybe quicker than you would elsewhere. Because I'd say from when you're born to 18 in Singapore, you live a very sheltered life. It's very comfortable, everything is easy. I would say, for the most part, compared to maybe living in the UK or in the US, wherever it is. So when you hit that 18 stage, maybe you're not as mature as you would be if you were 18 in the UK or wherever it is. So I think that's why this 18 to 20, 22, whatever it is, stage is so crucial, because you do become a man, I'd say.
For sure. I mean, our training that we did before you signed at YL was on the back of long days in the jungle or whatever it might be, and that's where you're talking about work ethic. And I know that we talk about quite frequently. You asked me, like, what did you see in me that was different?
I mean, that's on my notes as well, because I still sort of struggle with that concept, because I don't know if it's imposter syndrome or whatever it is, but it's definitely a thing, like, why me? Why am I in this position? Why did you see X, Y, Z in me to know that, okay, at some point he's gonna go on and do big things?
It's an interesting one, and I think it was just you had it, and that it is, I guess, the magic spark that people are looking for in someone. So when you talk about work ethic, that for me falls within your magic spark. Was the work ethic was there, but at the same time, how many boys have I and females, international level players in Singapore, have I put through the Edge of the Box program?
You've seen a lot. You've seen a good handful, and you can, I guess. But that's also one thing. It's like, what? Okay, we can touch on myself, obviously, but what as a coach? Because I've so far only had the opportunity to really sit in there and talk with other players. So it's easy to understand their mindset, because I'm one of them as well. But as a coach, how do you pick from, not necessarily pick, but you can identify what it is in a player that makes them tick, what in a player makes them work, what doesn't? Because I see it all the time with my teammates and stuff like that. Some of them just can't be arsed. But some of them also, the way they have to get motivated is very, very different. So how do you identify all these little details and stuff like that as a coach? Like, that must be ridiculously difficult.
It is. It's hard, but I guess the more you do, the more experience you get and the better you are. So I did a lot of work on that in my master's degree, coaching science masters, and my tutor on that was an unbelievable guy, and he made us think from like 360 angle about people, about human beings. It's relationships. The whole coaching journey is a relationship based industry, really. Whether you're a life coach, a football coach, a swim coach, athletics coach, if you can't hold a relationship with someone, then it isn't going to work, right? It's going to become transactional in the end. And when it becomes transactional, one of the two is going to break. It's like a relationship with a partner, right? It's if that becomes transactional, you're screwed. You can't. You have to like each other.
You have to enjoy each other's company, regardless of what you're getting out.
And that's going to ebb and flow. You know, like, there's going to be times where the last thing you want to do is come and see me on a Tuesday afternoon, but you do it because you know that the greater good is that, and that's because you like me and trust me, and I'm the same. Like, maybe I don't want to see you on a Sunday morning, but I'll be there because I know that ultimately that's going to benefit you and myself. So I think it's hard. There's nuances to it, and it's a difficult one to give an answer to particularly. But maybe that's when we talk about what differentiates players. For me, that's what differentiates a high level coach or an average coach.
Man management is the big key. Nowadays, I think it's more important ever than it was before, because maybe back in the day you could get away with just hairdryer treatment, shouting and screaming, and you get away with it. Whereas nowadays you need to manage individuals, not just the team as a collective. Because at the end of the day, especially in a footballing environment, there's the 11, there's the 5 that might come on. There's those that are injured in the backroom stuff, whatever it is. There's so many people to manage, and it's not fucking easy at all.
No, I play in a Cosmo League here, recreationally sometimes.
I've played it. I've heard of the Cosmo.
And our coach at the moment, he's his best thing, and it's laughable and it's a cliche, but he doesn't name anyone a substitute. It's game changers. Game changers today are, and he names the game changers.
Our assistant coach, when our head coach was out for a bit with COVID, same thing. And honestly, as cringe and cliche as it sounds, it's
feel better.
It's a mindset thing as well. If you feel on the bench that you're there because, you can make a change rather than just you're there because you're not good enough to be in the starting 11. It's the same. Because he told us a funny story about that similar thing. He was in Lithuania at the time, I think, somewhere in Eastern Europe playing, and 4 months or something, he'd been there, hadn't played a game. Finally gets the opportunity. He's warming up second half, but he doesn't have his shinners on. So he's warming up. Coach calls him over. Can't find my shinners. Take this, that. Coach says, "Fuck it, you're not coming on. Bring someone else on instead." He sits on the bench for another 2 months.
And that's ultimately how it can be.
And he told us that story before the game, and he was using that to sort of motivate the substitutes. And even I started, but I sat there and thought, "Wow, that's
true.
That's the harsh reality, you know. Like, you have to be ready at all times. Obviously, maybe on the 5th minute you have your shinners on and whatever, but
just do it.
The second half starts. Like, you have to be ready. Like,
just do it. Have them on all the time. Be ready all the time. I know.
If you stay ready, you never have to get ready. That's the
well, a few lads at Balestier will definitely confirm this. But I used to say to them when I'm warming them up at the side of the pitch, and they give an instruction that someone's coming on, and then nothing would happen for 20 minutes, and they got frustrated, and I get frustrated for them as well because I've been told. But
it's the mental preparation, physical preparation,
everything's ready to go. And then if you think about the psyche of a substitute from the start, already you feel like it's like life, right? You feel a bit rejected, that you weren't good enough. Okay, so straight away you're not good enough to be starting. So one of two ways of looking at that: you either take it as a positive or a negative. Human being, 70% of our thoughts are negative apparently, so more than likely going to be negative connotations attached to being a sub. So then you're told that you need to be ready. What I used to say to him is go and run past the head coach and just go and tell him you're ready. Because my biggest regret in life is we were playing against Preston North End, my hometown team, in the Carling Cup when I was at Morecambe. We drew them in the first round away at Deepdale, which is Preston's ground. All my mates were in the crowd, my family on the bench, which was fine. I was 19 years old. All I wanted to do was get on 1 minute in that pitch. I'm made. I'm done. I'm obviously not done, but it might have fired me up for more. But I just wanted to do it.
But that feeling it would have given you, I've come full circle. I grew up here, came here to watch games, and now I'm coming on and playing in front of how many thousands in front of fans.
Well, we're 5-0 down, right? So this is going into the 80th minute, and there's one substitute left. We've lost the game. No harm. There's me and one other young lad, and then another senior pro. Obviously, senior pros. Okay, so I don't want to go on that. 5-0. I'd rather not. So me and the other young lad were warming up. And the other young lad just happened to run. He wasn't as keen necessarily, and he ran in to finish his warm-up before me. At that point, the manager just looked behind, Come.
Mate, perfect.
I was crying my eyes out almost down at the corner, thinking, no, I'm ready. Had I run in, had I even just spoken to the manager and gone, listen, it means the world to me to get on, he'd have put me on. I don't think he was a bad guy. He'd have put me on. He'd have given me a go. So the day after I went and spoke to him, I said, I was gutted. I didn't know. Rory, I didn't know. I didn't know you're from Preston.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
you're from the northwest of England somewhere. I don't know. So that's something I always take now in and forward into people who are on the bench. And that's not just being on the bench. That's those waiting for the opportunity or what's coming next.
Yeah.
Don't give up.
Don't
but
wait.
Be pushy.
Yeah, exactly.
Be pushy.
And we had that chat definitely at the earlier stage of the season when I wasn't playing. There was a run of 3-4 games where I wasn't starting, and I came to you and I was like, mate, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like I'm training well. I feel like I had a good, at this point I'd already come back from Cambodia. I had okay showing, I think, for my first serious tournament. I played well against you guys, I thought. In my first game, and after that I just found myself on the bench, and it was the same thing. The first game that I came on, the first game that I was on the bench, it didn't come on at all. Second game, coach turned around, saw me on the bench, and then brought me on for the last 5 minutes. And as much as with 5 minutes we were losing the game, it was 1-0, so I thought I'd try and make an impact. But it was exactly like you said. You know, I just happened to be there, right time, right place. But at the same time, I had a chat with him earlier in the week and said, look, whatever you need me to do, I'm willing to do it, because I can't take sitting on the bench when we're losing and losing, winning, drawing, whatever it is. I don't want to be on the bench. Yeah. But I think you're 100% right. Like, we've had this chat multiple times where there's no point sitting there and just being happy with the status quo. Like,
and listen, a coach is a human being, right? So a coach, although in hierarchical sort of structure, a coach is deemed as here, then you've got like your assistant, your captain, and then the rest of the squad. Bullshit. A coach is a human being. He's got stuff going on at home. Yeah. He's got stuff going on with his family. He doesn't maybe want to be there 100% that morning. He's tired. Like, his team's getting beat and he's the one taking the fall guy. He's the pressure. If you've planted that seed in his head already to say I'm ready, when he looks around and he sees 3 other boys and you, it's subconscious. He's going to go, oh, Jared's ready. He's ready. So, Jared, come on, let's go on. Then it's up to you. That 5 minutes is yours to then go and showcase, which you do. And you've done magnificently well, and you've like cemented your place in the team now, right? Which couldn't be prouder of you for that. Like, from where you've come to where you are.
That mentions. I'm gonna get something out of my bag real quick. Sorry for those listening at home. Rory had a nice idea at the start of the year. So he did this goal setting activity with a few of us at Edge Box at the start of the year. And I was thinking about it last night as I was thinking about the podcast and some of the stuff on here, and like at the time it seemed crazy, some of the things I was writing down, but in hindsight, or in the present, like looking at it, it was signed 30th of December 2021, so we're a solid 8 months since then, and so we had it broken down into 1 month, what my goals were, in 3 months, 6 months, and a year. So I guess there's some things on here like reminding Coach Nasri, my head coach, that I'm there, you know?
So we just talked about, right?
Exactly what we just talked about. Asking him specifically what sort of things he wanted from me as a player, on the pitch, you know? And how I would get what I wanted, you know, with these goals, which was in 1 month I wanted to become a more versatile player by, you know, watching players in my position, and also I wanted to be starting or being an impact sub at least. And I'd say in the immediate 1 month, I think that was happening.
Did that, right?
Pre-season I was starting, and then 3 months I wanted to be a better defensive player and become more versatile. I think that's something that I think I've done as well, or I'm continuing. And I said, here, I want to be fit immediately for preseason. I think this is the fittest I've ever felt in my entire career by far. I think I think if honestly speaking, I think if you ask any of the coaches at Young Lions, they would say that I'm up there without a doubt as one of the fittest players, and I'm always working my hardest. I give my all in training and in games and performing for Young Lions. And I think in the 3 months since then, I think I did that. In 6 months, I wanted to it says something funny down here, but it says I want to be a regular for Young Lions and featuring in the under 22, which I think I have done, you know.
Done it.
And it says playing seconds here.
Really?
So many people may not know this, but my plan was originally never to play past this time roughly for Young Lions. My plan was to head to the UK and study at the University of Loughborough. I had a place there, and to play football there and test myself in a different environment. It's something I didn't get around to because I chose to stay here and go to NUS, which is another great university, obviously. And we'll talk about education a little bit more in depth later, I think. But it's a funny thing to look back on that, because I think from as long as I can remember until maybe April this year. My plan was always to leave. Like we had countless discussions back and forth about this, what I should do, what your thoughts were. But in the end, I decided to stay, and it's something that still scares me from time to time. I think about it, like I look at my mates in the UK, I look at different things going on in the UK, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, oh, what sort of lifestyle I could have if I was there, how my life would be different. But at the same time, I always come back to the thing that I can only play professional football until I'm 35, 40, maybe. But I can live in the UK, I can party, I can do all that stuff at any age I want. I can have a good time with my mates.
Worst hangovers though, mate. Seriously.
No, but I can deal with those. If I've had a professional career, exactly. I think I can deal with those. But so I think that little goal setting thing, just reminiscing about it, I think it's a testament to how far not just I've come, but how far you've come, because it shows the impact that you have on the players.
Well, it's massive, mate, and it's, look at what it is. Like, people think, and this is the misconception about all this sort of work that I do and that people do, that you have to have an app, or you have to have the fanciest thing, and you have to, and I mean, it's society here and culture in Singapore, I see it, it's a lot of show. So you walk down the street, you got Ferraris everywhere, but you've got no road to open them up, you know? Like, why have you got it? You don't need the fancy stuff. It's as simple as that. It's finding someone that you can trust, who trusts you, and getting a piece of paper and writing it down. And everyone's got someone they can trust, who believes in them. Now, I'm an impartial service to that, I suppose, for you. In the fact that I'm not going to make a decision about you signing the contract. I'm not going to make a decision if you play on Saturday. I'm not going to make any of those pivotal decisions. Therefore, I can't influence what's on that paper every week. But by just, I mean, it's magic that you brought that back up. It's really good that you've still got it even. But it's a piece of paper folded up with I don't know what on, a bit of dinner stains and whatever else it is.
I don't know honestly, I don't know when's the last time I opened it, but just having it.
But it's
like,
the subconscious, right?
Yeah.
And everything's there. It's all stored in there. Like, you keep planting them positive seeds, and I'm proud of you for what you've achieved. I'm proud of all the lads that I've worked with and the girls that I've worked with. They've all had success in their own right. I think you might be the poster boy for it. As I've said before, in terms of like coming from nowhere to where you are now,
it's still mad to think about how
it's massive.
Literally 1.5 years ago I was stuck in it.
But then who's the next Jared is my question. Like, who's it going, because it happens. So you're not the poster boy for Edge of the Box. You're the poster boy for every other lad who dreams of doing what you're doing. And
I think it's a unique thing, because I mean one of the lads that I spoke to came to you as well. I think his name is Brandon Ong, if I'm not wrong. I'm sorry if you're listening to this, but so he reached out to me on Instagram and was like, I lived overseas, coming back to Singapore for NS, this and that, and I'd love to get in contact with you about how you did it and a little bit about stuff like that. And I was, in my head, it's like, firstly, I'm not big enough to where I ever look at a message and just ignore it, because I think that's completely wrong mindset already. And also, secondly, I empathize with him 100% because that was me. If I had somebody that I could reach out to 2 years ago and say, hey, mate, I've seen what you've done. I'm in the exact same position. I'd love to get some help into breaking in and doing something like that. So for me, like, I put him in touch with the people at Young Lions and yourself and tried to help him out. So I think things like that, like you said, like it's difficult without a doubt. Like, I know what I've done. It's not easy by any means, but that doesn't mean that it's a reason for me to just be I'm happy with what I've done. I can rest on my laurels now and just.
But that's not your character, and I think if we go back to what we're talking about, what was it? I could see that in you from the start. I also, socially speaking, you're extremely confident. Like, even doing this podcast and stuff, like, that's who you are. You're out there, and you put yourself out there. Now, not everyone's like that, but that doesn't mean that they have to be like you in that respect. All I would ask, and I've spoken with Brandon, like you said, and others, the non-negotiable is the hard work, but actually it's that desire within. You wanted it. You did want it, and you had doubts.
That's the crazy, because I didn't even know I wanted it, really.
Yeah, but it didn't take much to. I could see you wanted it. I knew you wanted it. I could see it in you, because no one's turning up. I know Ricky talks about the time you didn't show up. But we can give a 18-year-old lad a one-off.
It happens,
we can you have to have fun as well. Yeah. But you did turn up, and you turned up where you didn't know anyone else. And gyms are quite, they can be like,
I still remember the first time, that was the first time I met Harris prior to that, but I remember seeing Raihan and Karen, and I was like, jeez.
And these boys are like
Yeah.
You know, they're doing what you
Yeah.
want to do. I know that when Iksan was there, there's other boys were like,
Yeah,
wow,
that
and
was
Ilhan and stuff. I mean,
yeah.
you train with him, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, that was the first time I met them and stuff like that. I was like, whoa, this is mental.
But you look at what they do. I think Ix is a great example because he's gone from strength to strength now. Now I worked with him for 6 weeks on and off, but his attitude was exemplary, and I would always praise him above many people that I've worked with here in terms of putting himself out there.
Yeah.
And not being afraid of rejection and not being afraid of not having everything work out perfect. I don't think Norway worked for him.
Yeah.
Like, I think he'd be the first to admit it. But what he did do is education, right?
Yeah.
He took a chance. He took a gamble. He went and learned a new culture. He went to see how professional. And he's playing in Norwegian second division. I'm not dismissing it, but it's not the strongest league in the world.
Yeah.
Like, it isn't.
And I'd seen him do some media stuff, and he was talking about how the masseuses and stuff like that, like how it's not the best setup, but he put himself in an environment where he wasn't set up to succeed.
No.
You know, it was gonna be difficult regardless, and I think he still did fucking well.
He did very well. Yeah.
He scored a lot of goals for.
Well, look
for
at where
a
he
lot
is
of
now.
teams. Yeah, for 2 teams, and like
he's done brilliant promotion, I think, with his second team. But his attitude when he came to the gym,
they stayed up.
Staying up. So but his attitude in the gym when he came in to work with me he was a professional.
Yeah,
he was professional. He might have had other commitments after or before, but he turned up and he worked damn hard.
Yeah,
and that's what this place needs more of.
I think people do a lot of just going through the motions, very lackadaisical sort of. I'm there, but whether I'm putting in 100% is not. No. It's not my prerogative. Like I'm just there to pick up a paycheck maybe, or just to fulfill the check box of okay, I exercised today, I worked out today, I trained today.
Yeah, I'm a footballer.
Yeah, exactly. Like I did my due diligence sort of training, but what did you actually get out of training that day? Because I see it a lot, and I hate it. I hate it when I see my teammates, some of them, or different individuals at the gym, and I can see that they're not putting in 100% because I know they're better than that, and that's what frustrates me as a teammate because I'm like we talked about the talent and things, people not fulfilling their talents. Like, you're so much better than this.
It's a funny one though, because it's football. The phrase in England is "there's no friends in football," and it's true. It's extremely true. There aren't any friends. I was always really good mates with goalkeepers, bizarrely, and I didn't choose to be friends with goalkeepers. But when I look back, I think I wonder if I was mates with goalkeepers because they were more open to me, because I wasn't competing with them for a place in the starting 11. The keeper's got their own remit, right? Their keeper, I'll never compete with the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But the right back, left back, centre backs, probably centre mid for me. Yeah. I can compete with a striker. I'm competing with every day in training because I'm up against him. Wingers the same. So I was always close with goalkeepers, and that was just the way it worked out.
Yeah.
But this is going quite big topic, but football has toxic masculinity.
Oh,
it's fucking disgusting, really.
Yeah.
And I've fallen victim to it and been part of it myself. But when you look at it, it has to change. It has to change. So, okay, if you can go on, you could talk about this for days, really. But the culture when I was younger was, I'd say, extreme compared to now. And you get people like Alan Shearer talking about it online, like, oh, you know, the good old days, and you know, the boys had to clean the boots and everything. I mean, the world's moved on, right? And as much as I had to do that, and what did I really learn from being in a boot room scrubbing boots? Not a lot, other than that there's a hierarchy in this place, and in order to get to that level, I have to do certain things, and then a younger lad will clean. It doesn't really matter, right? But the toxic masculinity is almost in terms of like the competition. It's a competitive sport, so naturally it's going to be there.
Yeah.
But the shitting on other people, the politics involved, the way that people behave, and the amount of suffering I think every footballer goes through is something that needs to be addressed and needs to be changed. You talk about the attrition rate, or I talked about it, the attrition rate. What are those 98% doing now? Because I know I've had mental health issues, big ones, on the back of not being a footballer still. I've got my own mentor at the moment, and we had a real good chat 2 days ago about where I'm at in my life, and there's a big change coming soon, most likely, and why I'm ready for it or not. And we kind of drew a weird link between, well, at 32 years of age now, like you were talking about, my career might be coming to an end.
Yeah.
As bizarre, I've not played professional football for 10 years.
Yeah.
As bizarre as this is, I feel at this point in my life I'm retiring and I'm moving on. Like, I mean, because my mindset, it's weird, but that's toxic. And I've done an awful lot compared to a lot of lads I played with.
Yeah.
quite a few went to prison. Quite a few replaced that buzz of playing in front of thousands of people with drugs.
Yeah.
Some went over to America and did really well with scholarships and living a great life. But overall, I'd say that 98%, something needs to be done to arrest that cataclysmic, I would say, fall in status, in reputation.
Yeah, the mental state everything. That you, because you go from being on a highest of highs, you're known as the local lad that's going to make it, you're known as this and that, and everybody around you has different expectations, but they don't know behind the scenes that you're fighting and battling every single day with 20, 25 other lads around you to get that one contract, to get that one jump, whatever it is. You're right, it is very toxic because everybody's stepping on each other to try and get up, and that's what makes it so difficult. And I give more credit to people that do make it on top because everybody's pulling you down as you're trying to step up. Nobody, as much as you can be friendly with your teammates, at the same time they want to do better than you, without a doubt. Like I have how many best mates in Young Lions, really, really good mates that I would consider like close friends, but at the same time, like I won't be as happy as I could be if I see them doing better than me. Exactly. Obviously, I'm happy for them, but I would be happier if I was doing
number 6, right? Yeah.
Exactly, I would be happier being the one in their position.
Definitely. But it's
a tough thing to balance as well.
It is. And your decisions, right? So your decision of not going to university in England was formed on the basis of professional career here that might take you elsewhere, but you're going to get a great education here. You're settled, you've done extremely well, national team, everything's in place. But what I'm saying is, what happens if a new number 6 comes through the system, goes ahead of you? You've made all these decisions. Do you think, and this isn't me calling out the FAS, this is football in general, do you think they give a shit about you if you fall out of the picture?
No.
They don't give a shit.
I think it happens all the time in Singapore. Players, they shine bright for a bit, and then I wouldn't say it's just exactly. It's
but who's doing something for them, and how can you prepare? So you've got it, you've done it right, and I think it's why I love the American system, is that you get an education alongside playing at a very, very good level, and then at the end you have a choice. So
do you want to keep going, or do you want to just hang up your boots and say, okay, I'm done,
and then I'm going to go into a super successful career? But what I'm going to do is harness all the positives from football,
all the connections you make, the mentality that you instill,
and it's unbelievable. What you learn as a footballer is priceless, and that's what people don't get. Footballers have bad reputations, and quite rightly in some cases, because the whole lifestyle of a footballer,
the bravado,
it's toxic. It's toxic. It really is toxic. It's toxic in the coaching world. Believe me, like. Coaches don't get any better. Okay. Like there's the ego, the arrogance,
because I guess everybody has that bit in them. Everyone has an ego, but it's just how much you're willing to show.
But it comes out. But again, is there any other industry in the world where you go to work, you're in direct competition so much? Maybe you'd say like brokers in Singapore. I know a few of those guys, and it seems competitive. But trust me, it's nothing like football, where you're competing every day physically, mentally, emotionally with someone. Then you go and perform your job. So you train all week for something, you perform your job, and you're assessed and observed by thousands of people who all have an opinion and all think they're right. So the old uncle in the stand who's never played a game of football but has watched for 15 years thinks he could do a better job than you and will shout and scream. Now, who's looking after the footballers in this? And that's where I want to take Edge of the Box mention is the direction it's going to go in now, is preparing people for the inevitable end. Because whether you have a 2-year career or a 10-year career, it's going to end. It is. And it's going to be premature ending compared to being a teacher, for instance. Like it could be 40 years in. It's going to kind of harness the skill set that you develop as a footballer, the competitiveness, but the teamwork, all the positives you get out of football. How can you then turn this? So if you do get released, it's not the end of your world. If you get released, it's not going to lead to being bankrupt. It's not going to lead to divorce. It's not going to lead to mental breakdowns, therapy for 10 years, whatever it might be, which happens. Like the stats are there to be seen, but because it's a business, and because you as a footballer, you're just a commodity, you're a piece of meat. No one's really stepped into that space.
Once you're no longer an asset to them, for what reason is there for them to care for you, right?
So but it's, for me, that's shameful and it's sad, because the amount of money that's involved in this business, there should be aftercare. I think some English Premier League clubs are doing it now.
I think Crystal Palace is one of them.
Palace was. But again, is it a token gesture? I'd love to investigate that properly.
But I mean, just to play devil's advocate, I think at the same time you have to have the onus has to be on the players, right? Like you can't just sit around idly, okay, boo, poor me, I've been let go, this and that. Like, you should be actively planning yourself. And okay, I understand that maybe when all you've known ever is football and you didn't really pay attention in school and things like that because you were so focused on football and then it doesn't turn out the way you want it to. Well, I mean, life is shit sometimes. Like sometimes, like you don't have the and that's why I feel like sometimes I really hate school. You know, I've just started school and sometimes I just think like within this last week alone, I'm like, fuck, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
But then I come back to the thing. If football ends tomorrow, what am I going to do?
Exactly.
Like,
but how many lads in your position doing that? And there's probably not many because there isn't the guidance. Because as a footballer, you do look up to your coach, and you look up to the club for guidance because you sign a code of conduct, right?
Yeah.
Now, where on that code of conduct is any responsibility from the club?
Yeah.
That's my question, and I'm talking more about the English game here.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
Singaporean
Fair enough. Yeah.
But a footballer's a footballer wherever you are in the world.
Yeah.
Where's the obligation of aftercare? Where's the obligation of, okay, if you're not in the team for a full year, so this happened to me at Morecambe, right? I was signed at 19 or 20. I sat on the bench pretty much. I went on loan a couple of times and sat on the bench in the interim. Didn't play. The end of the season came around, I got released without even being told I was released. Yeah. At which point, UCAS had stopped, so the university application system had closed. Yeah. I was done. I was screwed. And I, again, was like, well, what do I do now? Yeah. And I had to drag myself up. And some people can do it. You could do it. I did it. I'm sure a lot of other boys, but some can't. And some have had so much pressure from their families to be footballers that they're no one. And it's almost like, it's not tribal, but you're almost, maybe you become the lone wolf. Yeah. And that's a dangerous position. Yeah. Because when you're the lone wolf, you become reckless. Or you have to try and find, how do you get back into the pack? Like, and that's where some mates of mine went down
bad paths.
Bad path. Yeah. And I think, you know, I know that there's a few guys in Singapore who do dabble in like maybe some of wrong paths at the moment, who are young boys. And I mean, who's getting a grip of them? Like, it's easy to make an excuse and it's this, that, and the other. But
at the same time, like when we talk about that toxic masculinity, you'd assume it'd be the senior lads in the team, etc. Like, but at the same time, they're worrying about themselves, right? You need to have a good character to pull someone aside and be like, look, you're going down a bad path. I expect better from you. You can do better, X and Y. And I think sometimes I struggle with that because sometimes I want to be that. Yeah. But at the same time, it's also like I'm only 20 years of age. I'm only 2 years younger than some of the other guys.
But you're emotionally mature, man. So you don't need to take any extra burdens on. Yeah. But there has to be a bit more of a. I think football in general needs a change. You've got the gym stuff in football now, the S&C stuff is very good. Yeah. It's come from nowhere in the past 10 years, really, and is very good. Your technical stuff's always been good. Your tactical stuff's getting better and better. Analysis. Yeah. Like, look at all the energy that's been put into all this. But the psychological side, there's a stigma attached, men's mental health. Yeah. And I'd say the female game, the experience I got with the players here, it's quite toxic as well, by the sounds of things. Like, it's the same.
But I think that's, as much as we talk about toxic masculinity in football, I think it's just toxic regardless. Obviously, to an extent, when it's competitive, obviously people are going to clash, people are going to be looking out for themselves, but the snarky comments, things behind people's back, all this sort of stuff that we talked about briefly, it's I think it's regardless of what side of men's, women's, I think it's
sport, right? It's sport, but I think and that's why, for me, the mentoring side of things is super important. So, despite the fact that you think that the work we did was mainly physical, which on the anyone looking like from top down would say, yeah, it is. The beauty of what we've done is that piece of paper and the midnight phone calls where you want it to give up.
Something that I've been wanting to ask for the entire duration of this podcast. Balestier. So for those that don't know, Rory was with Balestier, as he briefly mentioned earlier, as a fitness coach, I'd say, and I think that was an underutilization is a nice way to put it of your skill set. And talking to the other lads that they don't understand why exactly you weren't being more involved with the footballing side, because you do have qualifications in that sense without a doubt. So if you'd want to briefly touch on that and your experience there and what it was like for the first time being in a professional environment as a coach rather than as a player, and maybe what you experienced as a player, how you sort of could empathize, I guess, with the players at the squad and sort of be a better coach than you could have been previously. Yeah,
for sure. So it took a lot of time to get that opportunity. I've been here for 5 years now, probably knocking on the door of clubs here for maybe the past 18 months, I'd say. I had some meetings at the FAS about certain things and was met with strange response numerous times by certain people at the FAS who've gone now, which was confusing to say the least at the time, but felt like I was warned off almost. I didn't know why, but me being me, I'm persistent and I carried on. So eventually, Balestier offered me just a small role, really, fitness role. But I saw it as a first step on the ladder back into professional game. So I was working at Singapore FC, like an amateur club that's got big ambition, as a technical director there for a few months prior to taking the Balestier job. Now I took a massive pay cut. I'm talking like 70% pay cut to shift, because I felt for my purpose and my goals, it was more beneficial for me to go and work at a professional club than working at an amateur setup.
But I think that in itself, just a pay cut alone, is such a non-Singaporean mindset, in my opinion. Because I feel like in Singapore, especially in an industry like football, money talks.
Yeah, I mean, it does everywhere.
It does everywhere, but I think sometimes people don't realize that you have to invest in yourself now, so that later on you'll also make more money, but also just feel more fulfilled. Because you could have continued at SFC, and you could just been making money,
counting the money in and doing a bit,
going through the motions every day, and just casually doing your job. But do you really enjoy what you're doing day to day? Do you feel fulfilled in what you're doing? And I think, personally, and I think you agree with this, that's way more important than the number in your bank account. And I think sometimes I look at specifically Lion City Sailors. We know that there are loads of lads there that are sitting on the bench every single weekend, and they're making a lot of money, and they're just happy doing that because maybe, they're in this stage of their career, whatever it is. And I will never knock anybody for making that decision, but I just don't think I could ever do that.
Yeah.
I could never be happy just sitting on the bench,
going
by, watching life go by, you know?
It's true, and I think, we talked about privilege before, and I'm in a privileged position having been a PT in Singapore for a few years where I earned good money and was sensible with it, and got a great partner who's fully supportive of my dreams and ambitions as well as her own, right? And that it helps, and I know I'm fortunate for that. Was it an easy decision to leave in the end? Yeah, because it was professional football, right? And that's where, at the time, it's where I thought I wanted to be, and I needed to do it because if I didn't do it, I would never have known, and I would always regret not taking it. Was the reality what
you expected?
No. I started off, I think they've been training since November pre-season. Head coach came in with, new ideas, massively successful CV. So I came in maybe in January, and they'd already done a couple of months. So as a fitness coach coming in at that stage, you're kind of chasing your own tail, right? They've already done the bulk of the baseline stuff. And that was done by an assistant coach who knows what he's doing, is good at what he does. So I came in a little bit late, and then do you
think that sort of had a domino effect going later on, that you really sort of missed out on a chance to really have your say?
Yeah, definitely. So maybe definitely, it definitely did, but that's no one's fault. That was just timing. What I would say is that it isn't Balestier's issue. And it isn't. I mean, ultimately, it's not mine or the head coach there or anyone else or the chairman. I think the chairman Darwin's got his heart in the right place for Singaporean football. I keep saying it everyone I speak to, because I think he gets a bad rep sometimes by certain people. But my dealings with him is that he cares about footballers here and wants to grow the game. I just think that the league itself, the way it's governed, the way it's run, it's not professional. It's not professional.
I feel like you'd be one of the perfect people to talk about that, and the contrast between what we have here and what you have in the elite leagues in England and stuff like that. Because not only did you play, you've also worked.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've been in the Premier League. I worked before the Premier League, going into Cat 1 football clubs. And listen, Singapore's limited on space, so I understand not everyone can do what Lion City Sailors have done, which, by the way, is brilliant.
I think it's absolutely amazing,
This is great, and I hope the lads there actually appreciate it. Not the typical attitude of a footballer is like, well, no, actually use it and utilise the staff you've got and the opportunity you've got, because that's rare for Singapore. So space is going to limit everything here. I've been here 5 years, so I've got some really good Singaporean friends now. Some intelligent people who have high-flying careers, and one of them made the best point. I was frustrated in the middle of COVID, and me and him had a bit of a fallout about the Singaporean way of doing things. And the conversation flowed, and we got talking about just the nature of Singapore. And his main point, and he's Singaporean, was like, if you notice, Rory, there's no heroes in Singapore. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, look, there's no hero. There's no sporting hero. There's no military hero per se. There's no one that you can look up to and say. So you say Fandi Ahmad.
But that's because I saw another podcast. I won't name names because obviously I don't want to plug them. But somebody was calling for Fandi Ahmad to have a statue built, and the more I thought about it, I was like, yes, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, when you think about it, it makes so much sense because if, like we touched about no heroes, but that right there, he is I've had the privilege to work with him, and I see the type of character. He's very, very. People love being with him because he's just that character. But at the same time, from an athlete, what he done for Singapore is unreal. It might never be replicated again. We don't know. So why not recognize the individuals that have contributed so much to Singaporean football?
And not just football. You look at I know it touched a nerve with you with Joseph Schooling talking about NS. He's a hero. I know he's not born and bred Singaporean necessarily. He went to school, but he wore your flag. Yeah, and he competed and he won. Gold, right?
And he's every time he's ever put on the flag, and every time he's ever
best,
exactly,
right?
he's 110%. Yeah, I'm sure.
So for me, the fact that there's no heroes is true. So where's the next hero going? Where's it going to come from? I think we talk about Fanny. I've not had the privilege to meet him just yet, but I've obviously worked with his sons, and the way his sons carry themselves, for me, shows that he must be a good bloke because they're good kids, right? And that generally stems down from the parents. Yeah. But because there's no heroes, it kind of comes like, well, what do you want as a country? What are you trying to achieve? Because it is, I when I travel now, I just got back from Vietnam, for instance, and in Vietnam it's chaos. Yeah. But it works. But it's absolute chaos when you're in the streets. You're walking across, traffic's everywhere, mopeds everywhere, the noise.
When we were there for the tournament earlier in the year, it was mental. It's just chaos, being on the bus, seeing how things move around. Yeah. It's different.
But it works in its own way, and they get back. But you come back to Singapore, and instantly I'm like, I'm back. I can relax. I'm safe. I'm comfortable. But then we go back to, how do you then say, I've got an 18-year-old Vietnamese boy who is talented at football, and I've got an 18-year-old Singaporean boy who's talented at football. Same talent. But this lad, parents don't have a guaranteed accommodation for the rest of their lives. This lad doesn't have a state that can necessarily provide for him. He doesn't have a school that he can go to every day where records are kept. So almost like Singapore's
We're too comfortable.
And you can't fault the success, right? Yep. It's a beautiful country that's, on the whole, that's done very, very well. But where are you going to get that that grit and that resilience and that determination? So I talked with, I don't think you'll mind me mentioning him, Charlie Clough, who played for Brunei and is now playing in Thailand. And I talked at length of kind of a similar playing level back in England, but obviously he sustained it, so he's better than me. He's sustained it a lot longer. And he's like, mate, it's so unprofessional here. Lads are smoking all the time. They're riding Grab delivery all afternoon. They're not professionals. They'll never. Singapore football will not kick on at the moment. It just won't. So hopefully LCS is going to change it. But is it geared up to become a powerhouse in football? We talk about goal 2034. Can you ever be? I'm from the northwest of England, right? Where I know people laugh at me when I say it, but I think it's a cultural hotbed for sport and art and music. So the Beatles, arguably the biggest band there's ever been, maybe ever will be, from the northwest of England. Liverpool, Everton, Man United, Man City, within 30 minutes from me, from where I was brought up. There's 12 professional football clubs in that little radius. How stiff do you think the competition is there? It's massive, and everyone's trying to produce more and do more because the actual sort of economy around it is pretty poor. We have to do something different.
Exactly. You have to.
You either work in a factory, well, not anymore, but you used to work in a factory,
or you play football,
or you're a musician, or you're an artist, and it's produced a lot of talent. Now, is Singapore set up to produce that sort of talent? I don't know.
I think that's something I always think about as well, because like you touched on what Charlie Clough said. I think there's definitely a lack of professionalism without a doubt. I see it day in, day out. Sometimes I'm amazed, like, that's what they're doing, like, and it's frustrating as well because we're the ones, like, as young Lions, obviously, we're the ones losing to these guys fucking the weekend. And I can't take it sometimes. I'm like, look at how unprofessional these lads are. How the fuck are we going to go out there and have any pride when we get bet by them? Like, it's super frustrating, but obviously it's a bigger issue that comes with trying to improve, and people talking about whether Singapore is a regional powerhouse. I don't understand this narrative around Singapore football that every time we go to an international tournament, we're expected to do well. Well, our league isn't anywhere near the rest of them.
Exactly.
Our players aren't nearly as professional. There's not nearly as much money. There's all these reasons that we're behind them. Okay, maybe in the 80s we overachieved, etc., whatever it is. But it's a different era now. You can't just keep comparing Singapore in the 80s versus Singapore now, because you look at the development that we've taken versus them is different. Because we enjoy all these other benefits. We enjoy being in a safe country, financially secure. You have your housing, this, that, whatever. There will be drawbacks, and such as our sport. Our sport is not up to the standard of a lot of these other countries, and if they are, it's maybe individual sports such as swimming, and that's what I don't think people understand when they're on the outside. They don't. When you're a swimmer, especially schooling, some of the Kwa family, you know, the three of them, that they spend the majority of their training outside of Singapore.
Exactly.
If footballers could do that, it'd be different. If we could stay in the UK until we're 18, play professionally, this and that, and then come back to Singapore and play and not affect. That would be obviously a dream scenario, but it's not true. No. If no team there is going to take us until we're 18 just to lose us, and then say, okay, 2 years later you'll come back to us. No team's ever going to do that, because that's ridiculous. 18 to 20, without a doubt, that age range is the most formative, most important years of your football, without a doubt.
Football, for sure.
And if you're not going to be able to play at a high level there, obviously you're not going to be able to be as good, because you look at the Malaysians, you look at the Indonesians, you look at Thais, or whatever it is, they all have these opportunities to go because they don't have something deterring there. And I'm not saying that we need to eradicate NS, because I understand what it's there for. You know, we talked earlier about the maturity, initiation, and obviously security and safety. But at the same time, it's going to limit our athletes regardless of what happens, because that's just 2 whole years where we're juggling not only football, or trying to juggle football and a full-time 9-to-5 job, because that's the reality. We played Albrechts 2 nights ago, right? And I'm not saying this is an excuse by any means, but I guarantee you 5 of the 6, 7 of the lads were literally working an entire shift the entire day as a normal person would do, and then they're expected to play 90 minutes against one of the best teams in Singapore with all these Japanese full-time professionals, etc.
It's hard.
It's ridiculous.
You're asking a lot.
We're setting ourselves up for failure, without a doubt. Obviously, I'm fortunate enough that now I'm not in NS and I don't have that, but without a doubt, these other lads are affected by it, and I can see it. And they wish they weren't doing it, obviously, because they want to be focused on football and put everything into it, but they can't.
It's true.
So I don't understand why there's always so much this expectation on Singaporean football and things like that, when there are loads of factors that we have to face that other countries don't.
Yeah, it's true. So I think it's one of those where take the pressure away by not talking up all the time. And I'm not saying it's just it's not just fans, but you look at like this goal 2034. I mean, they changed the narrative after a week of it coming out. I think it was qualified for the World Cup. Then it was, I don't know what it was. It changed a little bit anyway. I was reading into it at the time. But be realistic. Like, you compare yourself to Iceland in terms of like much bigger population.
They have such a small population,
place,
but culturally it's so different.
Extremely different. And their boys are brought up like going to England, like you just said, going to Europe to play, having training stints at different clubs, and having that exposure to different things. Plus, when they get back, it's not easy living in Iceland. It's freezing. You know, like it's a harsh, horrible, long winters where
the dedication, the perseverance, the discipline you need to have to make it to training when it's fucking freezing. The sun goes down at 4:00. Well, X, Y, Z
23 hours a day darkness or whatever, and there's generations of steeliness there, you know, which Singaporeans have as well. Like, it's not been if you go back to like the history of Singapore, which I'm no expert on, it's not been easy. Like, the last 57 years have been better. But probably not even all that's been easy, and there's a lot of people in Singapore struggle. But how do you then get that grit
how do you
and
use
resilience?
that to your advantage to become better?
And I think that's what they need to educate people on here, is that there are struggles here. There's people struggling in Singapore massively. I'm sure there is thousands, millions. But how do you harness like the benefit of the safety and everything else, but make sure that you're developing heroes? Like, I need to see a Singaporean become a hero personally. That's what I want, and it could be you. Why is it not going to be you? At the moment, in a footballing sense, maybe it's Iksan. In the fact that he's in Thailand, he's doing his own thing, and he's flying.
He's also the only one that's played in Europe recently, this and that,
But he's not hero yet, right? Because And if you're saying he's only going to be a hero if he emulates his dad, that isn't fair.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
But also what I see with this narrative as well is that just because I hate this thing that we touched about Iksan and the hero status, it's people want to tear people down.
Yeah.
Singapore is so bad for that. I see it all the time. As obviously there are loads of fans and there are loads of people that are supportive, but at the same time I see it all the time that we always talk about Young Lions being known as TikTok FC and talking about young players in Singapore and like what does it mean being on social media for 5 minutes a day? All you see is that 5 minutes a day.
Exactly.
What does that have to do with how hard I'm working on the pitch?
Exactly.
You know nothing about what I'm doing day to day. You know nothing about how hard I work. But you want to sit there and the under 16s that just lost in I think Indonesia. Obviously it's shite. Every single one of them know that they lost 9-0. Yeah. Nobody's ever gonna forget that. None of them will ever forget that. Yeah.
They shouldn't.
Maybe this is the one time they ever play for their country. Yeah. They may never play for Singapore again, and they had that.
Yeah, it's not good.
Horrible experience. You think they need 50-year-old grown men on Facebook commenting, telling them how shit they are and how they're an embarrassment to the country and this and that? No, you try to put on abuse. I bet you at 50 years old will not do anywhere even close to how well they did in that game.
It's true.
And that's what pisses me off all the time, because all these young lads and women as well, because obviously you work really closely with some of our female players and our women's national team players. The abuse they got after their tournament in the Philippines, their AFF. Keep in mind that obviously on a global scale, women's football is on the up. Lionesses winning, massive crowds, stuff like that. In Singapore, it's the same thing. Our Lionesses are on the up. But some of the comments and stuff I saw were horrible. Like telling them obviously the most misogynistic things, go back to the kitchen, XYZ, whatever it is. It's ridiculous because all of these women are working just as hard as the men probably to try and make something of themselves in the footballing sense.
You've trained with the girls that I work with, like all three of them closely, like fantastic professionals. The
mindset that they have is second to none. So I don't understand why boys, girls, whoever it is that's participating, putting on the flag for Singapore. It's not an easy fucking thing to do.
No, it's not.
It's not easy to get there, and it's also not easy to stand there on that stage and say, okay, I'm willing to do this. But you know what it is easy to do? To get on your phone, get on your keyboard and whatever it is. And you could always say, oh, just I can comment what I want, freedom of speech. Yeah. Well, it's not freedom of speech, it's just you being a fucking asshole. Like, that's all you're doing, mate. Like, I understand you wanting to voice your opinion but there's a difference between voicing your opinion and just being destructive. And because I know that these female players were really, really affected by it because they're probably not used to the spotlight of being in a big tournament, a big thing. So you imagine they lose. I know they had a heavy loss to Australia as well as the Philippines. Well, both of them World Cup teams. Yeah, what do you expect? Our women's league just restarted. Yeah. Our women's football team haven't really played any games. They only played their first ever ticketed match this past year. So what do you expect from them? Do you expect them to be world beaters already?
It goes back to it, right? It goes back to the culture of being in Vietnam and the chaos that ensues there, and then you get back to Singapore. And I understand why Singaporeans are super proud, but for me, Singaporeans also have an air of arrogant, like extreme arrogance about them. And I'm talking about walking down the street. They think they're better than people. And I don't understand it. Don't get me wrong, I'm British, right? And British people have chips on the shoulders as well, for sure. But I think in the Asian area, they feel like they're superior.
And I think that's what stretches over to the football massively as well.
Well, it will do. It stretches over to a lot of things. And it kind of comes right back to the SPL in that same sense, is that why was that door to me closed for so long? Why is someone as... I mean, I've not got the top qualifications. You're about to say
as qualified as you, but you are. You are as qualified, as if not more qualified than everybody in the respective clubs in your position.
But why did it take years of knocking on the door? Why did it take me to go and meet someone at the FAS who was like a bully? I wasn't going to get bullied by him, but was a bully. Why does it take me standing up to someone like that to be given an opportunity? I've got friends who've lived here, who've worked in the Premier League at clubs who left. One really good friend who left Singapore and went to Cambodia to work in their league, who would have changed the game here. Fact, he's now working in Thailand. So he's done well. He's proven himself.
Yeah, exactly. Cambodia, Thailand.
He couldn't get in. Yeah. He could not get in the system here. For love nor want, like, he was doing everything he could. No one would touch him. Why? Why? I've got another friend who came, UEFA A licensed coach, came over, was working at Chelsea in one of the schools, but came under the impression that he might then be able to get in one of the pro clubs, which would then kickstart his career. Nothing. He's now working at Norwich City as an analyst, I think, first team. more qualified than most people here, because I'd arguably say the UEFA is far
AFC.
higher caliber than the AFC.
Yeah,
that's my opinion. But I think
most coaches would agree with that as well.
Yeah. So to go back to your question about Balestier, I was very grateful for the opportunity. It didn't work out the way I wanted it to. That I'm not passing the buck. That could be me not taking the bull by the horns as well.
Yeah.
It might be me. I know that I certainly went in with almost not fear, but
I mean, I remember speaking to you, and you were very, very excited about the opportunity to finally work in a professional club.
I mean, it's a massive thing, right?
Yeah, and one of our staff recently spoke to us and said, "Do you guys realize that you are the most privileged people in the world? Some of you."
Yeah.
Because he said, for 99% of people that are involved or have any affinity with football, they would say their dream job is to be a footballer.
Of course.
So you have to realize that all the staff, whatever it is, they wish they were you.
Yeah.
And I never really understood and absorbed that how much people want to be footballers. Yeah. And because obviously we all dream of being footballers, but you don't realize that in that moment all you're doing is playing football, and the people that in stands at home are watching, envious of you, because they wish they could be
play again,
exactly. Yeah. So I think, but it comes back to what you talk about, that like that allure to anything to do with professional football is massive, especially if you almost have that sort of withdrawal, I guess, maybe from when you were playing. Like you have that itch to get back involved, even if it is in a coaching capacity.
It is. Well, it's like one of my catchphrases for a little bit was, "It's a privilege, not a right." And it was a privilege as me as a coach to coach you. It's not my right to coach you, even though I feel like I'm qualified and I'm good at what I do. It's not right of mine that you keep coming back. It's a privilege of mine that you. But then it's also a privilege of you to work with someone like me.
No,
we're all privileged, you know. But so there's a privilege to work in a professional club, and it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of years of graft. There's a lot goes into getting that opportunity. It didn't work out right. Maybe I walked into it wanting to assess things a bit more from like a top-down approach, and a club like Balestier maybe needs someone to go in and turn it round immediately, but then you have to be given the keys to do that, and I wasn't necessarily given the keys to do that myself. I wouldn't fault anyone there. I just don't think it was the right fit for me. Maybe I wanted a bit more input at times. I could definitely have done more to input.
Because I've spoken to lads such as Ricky, who was previously at Balestier, and some other lads there, and they always come back to me and they're like, "Rory's just picking up fucking cones. He's just doing warm-ups."
Well, that's what it turned into.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I've worked with you enough to know that is a complete waste of your.
It is, and it was. And
maybe it's also a mentality thing. Maybe you pushed me always in a way that you knew my buttons.
Yeah.
You would always say, "Don't you want to be like Harris? Don't you want to be like Raihan? Don't you want to be like XYZ, Iksan, and all these other lads?" And that always got me going, because I was like, "Yeah, I do. Yeah. Obviously, that's the bare minimum for what I want." And I think maybe they don't recognize that your style maybe suits the players at Balestier. I don't know what exactly maybe went wrong there behind the scenes, but
potentially. But then again, you have to look at professional footballers. We said there's no friends in football. You look at professional coaching. The head coach has the blueprint that he wants to work off, and he does make the final call. So to get a team of people to work underneath his blueprint, he needs his people in.
Yeah.
Was I chosen by, and that's where the professionalism of Singaporean football comes into it. I think LCS are choosing people for the role. I think they're okay.
They have a proper interview process, resume, CV, etc.
I mean, we don't know what's happened yesterday, but they're recruiting people. I know their academy. Let's talk about the academy, for instance. Are recruiting people that the technical director wants. So he's handpicking his team. Whether they're the best or not doesn't matter. They're his team. They're going to work under him, and he's got the trust of the club to go and do the job. And he's doing it. Like they're producing players, or they will produce players. And their youth setup's very good. So the professionalism needs to come in where each head coach can pick his own team. Was I the head coach's pick for that role, or was there a gap that needed filling? And that's how I felt. I was plugging a gap that needed filling, but I was never going to be given the opportunity necessarily. And again, I take some responsibility myself to express myself as a coach. Be
more pushy and be like, I'm being underutilized here. Because, I mean, we can talk a little bit about picking and choosing, because perfect example, Syed Asmir is back at Geylang now. So obviously if you haven't got your staff, yourself left, Syed Asmir left, there's different pieces that are slowly chipping away, because maybe they reach a point where, like, look, I'm not in your plans. Obviously, you don't want me here. I'm not being utilized to the best of my ability. I'll move on.
And it's football and it happens, and we're well versed in it, right? And there's no hard feelings. There's no resentment from my angle, I'm sure there's not there because it's football, and like we
Yeah.
said before, wash your hands, get out.
Yeah.
But then we go back to the fact that I'd left a very well-paying, safe job because a youth academy really like
The turnover won't be
isn't
nearly as high.
professional.
Yeah.
It can't be because it's not results-driven, right?
Yeah.
It's development-driven. So I could probably sat on that for like 2 years, 3 years, and still been like, well, there's data that shows that I am delivering on the KPIs that I was given. Whereas at a club, like, I don't know if it works that way. But if people are leaving, it just means for me that maybe the team that was put in place wasn't the head coach's pick, thus meaning that the league isn't professional enough to attract the right people in.
I think that's a thing you see in the Premier League. We always talk about managers not getting players that they want. It's players that the board wants, etc. It's like that. So when you have your board and your manager and etc. just contradicting one another, it's never a recipe for success. It's always a recipe for disaster.
But I don't think at Balestier it was necessarily the board employed me or Asmi or anyone else, and the head coach was like, no, I don't want them, but you're having them. I don't think it was that way. I think that the infrastructure in Singapore doesn't allow. There's not enough money. Like I said, I took a massive pay cut and I was privileged. But could you bring a great member of staff in? I don't know, because you can't offer them much. Could you recruit someone from, I don't know, let's say the Singapore Sports School, who's good at what he does, into one of the clubs on a full-time, because you need full-time people in full-time football. Yeah, you have to.
You need people that are fully committed, because otherwise you won't get anything out of it. And I think that's something I saw on social media, and I think it's something that's really passionate, and it's a perfect way to end. Just get your opinion on it, because people always talk about why Singapore is not producing high-level players anymore. But I think if you're not paying them enough, where that they can fully focus on football and really put their all into it, how do you ever expect them to achieve those results? Because if these guys are, like you mentioned earlier, driving Grab, doing X, Y, Z, other things, because you've seen it firsthand probably, that how many of the lads are doing it after training, before training, whatever it is, they're 100% that they're giving in training. Maybe they are trying their 100%, but it's not enough, because in order to support themselves, their families, whatever it is, they have to be doing a second job, they have to be doing Grab, they have to be doing whatever it is, because not everyone is privileged enough to have just live off whatever, a few $100s a month, which this year has come out a lot. I've seen a lot on people talk about different clubs that are paying their players that much.
I know one guy who was working with Edge of the Box who signed a contract at one of the clubs I was shocked at how little they were paying. I mean, I think Sunday League players back in England, that some of the Sunday League like pub teams would get paid more. And they're not expected to commit other than a Sunday morning hungover. It's just the way it is. Money's one. We're not going to change the culture of a nation. Just because we want the football to be a little bit better. So that's not going to change. So, this is one of the richest countries in the world, right? So why not invest a little bit more into sport in general, not just football, into sport and into the push sport at school. Make sport be something to strive for. Not just for certain people will want to be footballers because they see it on their Instagram, or their parents were brought up wearing Liverpool shirts, whatever it might be. Like, actually make sport something, a beacon for change. Because times are changing, and I think the culture in Singapore is becoming more open. I think your generation of Singaporeans are far more worldly wise. You've had the internet, right? You brought up with the internet. I think you're seeing that certain things in Singapore aren't great, and I think your voice is gonna carry quite strong into the next leadership or whatever it might be. But make sport, like, again, it comes back to where I want to take the Edge of the Box mention, and that shameless plug.
Because I will never have an issue with you plugging it. I've seen it work firsthand, and I'll never have an issue with it, because I think it's a perfect example of what needs to be done.
It's a mental side of things, right? And it's harnessing the beauty of sport and the positives of football, which is what me and you know best, is teamwork. I don't show me something else where you're gonna, as a young man or young woman, you're gonna learn about teamwork better than the team game.
When
I
you
don't
work
think you are.
day in,
Losses,
day out with
wins,
how many people you have to deal with different emotions,
everything. Resilience, grit, drive, dedication, commitment, like all the buzzwords you would want as an employer. A footballer has it.
You just have to get it out of them as well.
Spades they have it, but you just need to just taper it a little bit or turn it one way. So I think that Singapore's missing a massive trick as a country, that they aren't pushing sport at school, because you can be as book smart as you want. We're both book smart, right? Academically smart, but you also have to have some
street smarts.
But just skills, like
people skills, how to communicate, how to voice your opinion, how to
critical thinking,
work with others,
everything. Like you have to be able to think on your feet in this world, and I think that's why, there's a lot can be done to change, which can come from the top of this country. I think can influence like the grassroots of football, and until sports classified as something that's a bit more important, I think there's going to carry on the internet trolls are going to stay there because they don't see that every other country values sport a little bit more than here does. If it's a way out of poverty, if it's a way out of mundanity, if it's what the national sport is in like England is football, like everyone wants to be it. But in Singapore, I just don't feel that there's that real like love for sport because it's from the top down. It's not you want to be in banking or a doctor or a white collar job is. Nobody
looks at the allure of being an athlete, and that's what I want to do.
Yeah. So I think for me, that's what I'm trying to move to now is look at the mental side of things, so that improve performance, improve goal setting, like you guys magically brought it out, but then also be able to show that skill set that you're learning as footballer means you can carry that into other aspects of life as well, and you're going to be unstoppable now. I think unstoppable.
Yeah, so hopefully we do see some change, and I think, look, personally, I can vouch whatever it is that you do, I can see that there's good intent behind it, but there's also a lot of drive, and that you'll never ever take less than 100% from anybody.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I find really important in a coach and in somebody that pushes you, that there will be especially if, not to toot my own horn, but you mentioned it, somebody with intrinsic drive. I don't need you to push me, but obviously when you combine the two, I think that leads to good things.
Definitely.
So cheers, mate, for coming on.
Thank you.
Been a really good chat, I'd say, despite the little technical issues that I'll try to hopefully edit out. But no, I think it's been really good to have your sort of expert opinion, I'd say, on what you've witnessed in the 5 years that you've been here, but also taking into account what you've experienced as a player, as a coach, elsewhere and overseas. And I think there's a lot of things that Singapore as a community, Singapore football as a community must work towards for us to take steps forward, and hopefully the two of us will be involved in that going forward.
Spot on, mate. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye-bye.